As we continue building our understanding of these two sides, I want us to consider next how conservatives prioritizing truth and liberals prioritizing love produces markedly different attitudes towards inequality as well. Let's start on the conservative side by saying that whenever you deal in truth, you are going to create inequality. It's unavoidable. Whenever you deal in truth, you are going to create inequality. Because truth, you see, by its very nature, is exclusive. Whenever you make a truth statement, as soon as you assert that something is true, in that same moment you exclude all competing ideas as being false. When you say what something is, you automatically infer what it is not. You create an inequality of ideas, if you like. For example, if I make the truth statement that grass is green, in that same moment I'm excluding all other competing ideas, all other colours, from being equally valid in that issue. By simply saying what colour the grass is, I'm automatically inferring what it's not. Because it's green, it's not blue, it's not red, it's not purple, pink, or indeed any other colour. No other colour is the equal of green on that particular issue. Green is elevated as correct, therefore all other colours are demoted and discarded as false. I'm creating an inequality of ideas on that question. Now, of course, when we speak the truth about the colour of grass, there's unlikely to be much argument. And I suppose even if someone was adamant that grass was purple, the subject is so insignificant that it wouldn't cause a great deal of conflict. We could get along all right and remain friends with someone who was sure that grass was purple, because after all, it's only grass. It's not that big a deal. However, let's imagine that we were to deal in these exclusive, unequalizing truths about far more significant and controversial things. There's a conservative man called Bob. This is Bob right here. And he's been invited by his boss to a party one evening. Now, present within this room are people of all descriptions, including different political persuasions, ethnicities, and religious backgrounds. Bob's talking to a mixed group of these people when he decides to turn the conversation towards current events, and he decides to make a truth statement about what he sees happening in the news. He says, illegal immigration is a bad thing for this country. Now, as with all truth claims, that statement is exclusive. By stating that illegal immigration is a bad thing, Bob is discarding the idea that it's a good thing. That's what truth claims do. They exclude contrary positions from being equally correct. They create an inequality of ideas. However, there may be some people at this party who hold to the contrary position. They think it's a good thing, and they now feel offended and upset by what Bob has said. I mean, look at them there with their big angry faces. They're absolutely fuming with what Bob has said. There may even be an illegal immigrant present, or the child of an illegal immigrant who now feels unwelcome because of this statement. And so arguments about immigration will likely ensue at this point, and the host may be quite unhappy with Bob for disturbing the conviviality of his party. Why do you need to say such disruptive things, Bob? It doesn't matter about illegal immigration. Just be nice, just be kind, just get along with everyone. Don't be so controversial. Bob shrugs. He doesn't understand what all the fuss is about. As far as he can tell, they're just having a nice debate about current events. He quite likes it. But anyway, he decides to move the conversation onto religion instead. Because Bob's a Christian and he decides to make another truth statement. He says, Jesus is the only way to God. He's done it again, hasn't he? By saying that Jesus is the only way to God, he has again created an inequality of ideas. By saying that Jesus is the way, he's excluding Buddha and Allah and the Hindu gods and all the rest. By stating what is true, he has inferred what is false. Now again, perhaps there are Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, or atheists present in this room who feel offended by being told that their belief system is unequal.
Shut up!
Arguments probably ensue once more. Bob is possibly asked to get his coat and leave the party altogether at this point. Why do you need to say such disruptive things, Bob? It doesn't matter whether Jesus or Buddha or Allah is the way. Just be nice, just be kind, just get along with everyone. Bob's boss is a liberal, you see. And his attitude is that because dealing in truth always causes division, exclusion, and marginalization, we must never do so. Because in his mind, truth isn't even the most important thing in life. Love is, peace is, unity, just getting along, not hurting anyone's feelings. That's the most important thing to Bob's boss. It isn't important that we establish what's right or wrong about these things. What's important is that we all just simply get along in peace and harmony. He would agree with Anne Lamott, who said, it's better to be kind than right. There's a phrase going around these days which has become quite popular, and it's, in a world where you can be anything, just be kind, just be nice. That's the most important thing in life, just be nice. So you see the problem here then. The conservative wants to deal in truth because that's what matters most to him. But though truth is plainly a virtue, of course it is, its very nature disturbs the peace and the unity in a room. It automatically, by its nature, creates inequality. It causes offense. It causes division and exclusion and marginalization. Now, the conservative doesn't really care so much about that. If it's the truth and it offends and if it hurts feelings, then so what? It's the truth. Deal with it. But liberals can't stomach that idea. They want love to prevail. They want unity and peace. They just want everyone to get along with each other. They don't want anyone to feel marginalized or excluded or made to feel unequal. So they would prefer to diminish the importance of truth. Indeed, the more extreme a liberal becomes, the more they get into this side, the more they begin to hate this truth that by its nature would unequalize and disunify people and cause marginalization. And truth becomes an enemy of everything that they hold dear and believe in. To them, we must never therefore claim that anything is absolutely true. And this idea became very popular in a Star Wars movie a little while back. This has become a very famous line from Star Wars.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Only an evil person deals in absolutes. That is the liberal worldview. Because as soon as you start dealing in hard absolutes, you cause division, you disturb the peace and unity in a room, you cause disagreements and arguments. And that, of course, is the enemy of everything that the liberal holds dear and thinks is most important in life. Now, in the real world, though, pursuing truth, though it be disruptive and though it causes division and arguments, is necessary. In fact, for most of world history, and certainly for the past 400 years, we've considered pursuing truth's inequalities to be one of mankind's most noble endeavors, in fact, and we've given it a very simple title for all of these years. We've simply called it education. Education is simply the process of sifting through information to learn which ideas to elevate as right and therefore which ones to discard as wrong. In mathematics, once we learn that 2 + 2 = 4, we elevate that number as being correct and therefore we discard all competing ideas. In English grammar, once we learn that we should capitalize the first letter of a new sentence, we elevate that idea. We discard all competing ones. Once we learn that the Battle of Hastings was in 1066, we elevate that idea as being true and we discard all the other years as false. Once we learn that it's absolutely true that gravity exists, we elevate the idea that we shouldn't jump off of high bridges and we discard all competing ideas that say that we can float or fly. Once we learn that William Shakespeare wrote Twelfth Night and Macbeth and Hamlet, we elevate that idea as true and we discard all contradictory author names as false. Education is simply a persistent process of sifting and separating good ideas from bad ones. You could say a process of unequalizing ideas. And it's by this process that we individually and societally advance in knowledge and in wisdom. It's by this process that we then make better choices in life. It's by this process that we then become healthier and happier and we live longer. We're not used to thinking of words like inequality and exclusion in a positive sense these days. But if what we're excluding are bad ideas, false ideas, wrong ideas, then it is a good thing because we're getting smarter, we're becoming educated, we are advancing. Not all ideas are created equal and we shouldn't treat them as equal. And the quicker that we're able to separate out good ideas from bad ones, the quicker we will advance both individually and societally. While Bob was at the party, he made truth statements about illegal immigration, and his liberal boss told him to be quiet because it wasn't important. But isn't it quite important? I mean, aren't some things worth the conflict of debate so that we can establish the truth about the situation? There's an important utility to debate. That's why the centre of our democracies are debating chambers. That process of exchanging ideas, though it can be fractious and uncomfortable and tensions can rise, it's so important because this is how we establish the truth about a situation. It is worth that momentary disruption and lack of unity for what results on the other side. I think I have the truth, someone else has a different perspective or is maybe seeing angles that I haven't considered before. So we bounce the ideas back and forth between us, we share our insights, I learn from him, he learns from me, and together we grow in knowledge and in wisdom. Some things are worth that conflict, which is so necessary for establishing the truth. It is wrong to idolize peace and unity when it comes at the expense of truth. And that's a mistake that liberals can often be on the verge of making. Similarly, at the party, Bob said that Jesus was the only way to God. Again, that caused offense, so his liberal boss told him to stop talking about it. It's not important. But what if what Bob was saying is true? I mean, what if it's absolutely true? What if it's as true as any historical or scientific fact that Jesus is the only way to God? Isn't that quite important to establish? What if the Buddhists, the Muslims, and the atheists really are on the verge of missing out on eternal life? There's nothing more important than that. Surely it's better that Bob explains his reasons for believing in Jesus so that everyone can debate that idea and collectively grow in knowledge. Surely it is worth that conflict for something so important. Because though it may momentarily disrupt the unity in the room, yes, it maybe hurt some feelings, this is how we grow in knowledge and wisdom. Pretending that there's no absolute truth at all about this, as the liberal would suggest, just to keep some peace in the room, surely isn't advisable when eternities are at stake. Either way, you can see the problem here. Love and truth are both virtues, but they're demanding completely contradictory things again. Love wants equality, but dealing in truth automatically means inequality. Love prioritizes peace and unity, but truth means disruption and division. Love wants feelings to be preserved at all costs, but truth says stuff your feelings. We need to establish the facts of the matter. That's what's most important. So which do you prioritize? The improvement of the head or the protection of hearts? For both liberals and conservatives, the answer to that question will be clear, but it just so happens that they will, as usual, be completely opposed to one another. Now, as for Christians, again, we find ourselves somewhere in the middle of all this. The Bible says, instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. We are called not to abandon either of these two sides. We are to speak the truth in love. In doing so, we mimic Christ and become more and more like him.